say with these people, like just incredibly up behavior, and like not calling it out as such is just kind of gross.
Okay, now he's a disgusting freak and I can't even defend him, bro. He's a pig. If this is true, which it may or may not be, we don't know definitively yet, then this is absolutely reprehensible. He's disgusting.
I came here feeling comfortable. Now I'm leaving feeling interrogated.
So if you're living in a cage, the equivalent of corpse husband in League of Legends has had some allegations levied to him. And in this video I'm going to explain how they are absolutely retarded, or rather how the situation is pretty stupid, and not for the reason why you might think. Because the main criticisms of the allegations are actually valid and do have a pretty good baseline, but the whole League of Legends community seems to have completely just glossed over this fact. Now this guy goes by the name of Netherim, and if you have watched the League of Legends mainstream content creators in the EOS sphere, you might have seen him in the Drutted Ultimate Showdown. Anyways, Netherim has a small but somewhat loyal community. He isn't exactly a big streamer, but he's still notable. But much like Sukuna or Corpse Husband, Netherim attracts a certain type of audience, and these are women, naturally speaking, of course. And it's mainly because the reason that women find deep voices quite attractive, and that is a quality that Netherim has when he streams. But this is of course not always the case, admittedly speaking so. But let's wind the clock forward a bit, to where it all starts, which is the allegations brought forward by Elle, or Rude Lovebot. She goes on to say that Netherim, the US streamer, has been manipulating, financially abusing, love bombing and scamming the women in his community. His behavior spans across years and he will not stop unless we expose the truth. Here is the document. Now this 51-page document shows the testimony of 5 particular women, which is Kenway, Chavik Sin, Elle, Bootsy and Bear. The document itself was composed by Elle, it was edited by Booties, and then overviewed by Aiki Pitako as the woman had approached him for assistance. Now, we aren't going to exactly read the whole document because it's extremely long and boring, and aside from the obvious meme content, it can be summed up as follows. He's basically a fuckboy or an e-boy or whatever you want to call it. Basically, he juggles between multiple women while cheating for whatever reason. I guess there could be many. All of these women though are willfully engaging, they are consentful, and they are also receptive towards his conversation. But the document has some minor criticisms against it. It summarizes that Netherim is exhibiting deeply troubling behavior, manipulating women within his community for personal gain and gratification, and that he is a textbook predator since he manipulates the women he talks with in their conversation, in the sense that he tells them how they should feel and avoid conflict. I needed more information, as this document was kinda all over the place, so I went directly to the primary sources. And it turns out that there are many women and other people within Netherim's community and other past instances that had bad experiences with him. Usually when allegations come out on a content creator and it's just like one testimony, you know, there's some benefit of the doubt that can be given to it. But if there's multiple women and there's a lot of like testimonies against a person, usually speaking, that benefit of the doubt is going away and it becomes more and more credible. It's very unlikely that there is a huge conspiracy against a content creator, but I mean, it can happen sometimes. Moreover, this behavior was also spanning for multiple years, even as far back as 2020 apparently. But from what I've seen, it's been at least confirmed back to 2021. As a matter of fact, Netherim actually had a tweet-longer written about him by a woman that we'll get back to later. And she basically wrote this tweet-longer where she complained about his behavior amounting to manipulation, leading her on and then just getting rid of her when he was disinterested. Anyways, this document was a first-time thing, and the person writing this document, it's quite obvious that she or he has never done it before. But, I mean, there's a first time for everything, right? Most or some of these screenshots are allegedly out of context, as they just conveniently stop showing the rest of the conversation, where you could possibly see that a woman is being receptive about the comment, or maybe the woman is asking something. So it kind of portrays Netherim as, you know, like an evil person, I guess. For instance, you have this one place where Netherim asks to meet the dad of one of these women, but apparently the context isn't that he wants to meet the dad because he wants to marry the girl, which he has talked a lot about with this woman. He actually wants to meet the dad because the girl supposedly showed a video of her as a child and her dad together, and then basically thought it was cute, and he said, I want to meet your dad because he looks wholesome. There's also another place in the document where Netherim probably sent an unsolicited picture of his rooster, but you should probably not do that anyways. But basically what I'm getting at is that we don't know anything prior to the conversation where it could be implicit consent, or at the end of the conversation Netherim basically asked if she enjoyed it, and we conveniently, it just stops there. We don't really know what she says there, although that probably still wouldn't make it okay. But apart from all of that, here's where the allegations actually do have some credibility, and everyone just glosses over the facts and they don't really see the main points of the allegations. The first one is about financial irresponsibility. Rosalina talked about how he essentially didn't get his promised rewards of a statue and as well as merch. A thing that most of these women did criticize Netherim for is his lack of promises when it comes to delivering on things, which is an announcer pack from Netherim and as well as his merch. I did ask Netherim about this, and to his defense, he did kind of deliver on these promises. The merch thing has taken a long time though, in fact for about over 2 years, and it hasn't been until this year that he has managed to actually get a deal with a merchandise supplier. The announcer pack thing has also taken a long time. There was first an announcer pack, which was an old one, and this one was released. The second one has taken a longer time, and this is cited mainly due to Vanguard being implemented to leak, so Netherim wanted to check whether this would affect creating an announcer pack. But while merchandising has taken quite some time to be available for his community, Netherim has continually used getting merch as a sub-goal while not delivering all of his merch, and in some cases the merch is a bit questionable. For example, in 2022 he talked about a body pillow and another double-sided body pillow. These were never delivered as far as I'm concerned, and we're now 2 years later almost. In early March 2023 he did another pillow giveaway. Late March 2023 he did one promise where there would be signed merch. Mid-July 2023 another VIP and exclusive merch. December 2023 2 promises on signed merch. He made another statement that in July of 2023 on his Discord server that body pillows, cups and previously announced merch store should be fully opened by July 2023. And we are now of course in 2024 in June, and we have not seen any merch store yet. There were some deliveries that were made in the end though, such as this one cup which is supposed to be exclusive signed merch with the colors of his banner and his own signature. This in fact is something he promised himself in a video.
You'll be getting a one-on-one game night with me on stream or off stream. Custom merch of your choice, Discord roles and VIP as well. These are rewards that I've given before in the past that have been delivered. That fun fact in the written document. That like, you never delivered upon these. Meanwhile, I could just go back to my DMs and show you guys the merch as well. Do you guys want to see the merch they said I haven't delivered? I didn't think I'd actually take enough care or time to unravel it and debunk it, but let's debunk it right now. Chat, look. This is it. This is my top donator from last year, holding the merch that I signed with my own handwriting. Look, there's my signature. And there's a fucking design from the colors from my old overlay.
But it turns out it's a $10 Amazon cup that you can just write someone's name on.
That I signed with my own handwriting.
The unreleased Netherim merch was also delivered, but essentially it was just a hoodie where you can mass produce any image you print on it. This award was won in July 2023, and the person winning it did not receive a message from Netherim until October of 2023 regarding the merch. And he would finally receive it in February of 2024. This is a 7-month undertaking. Spontex, which actually did win this unreleased merch, had spent somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000 on the donathon he won for maybe like $50 cheap knockoff merch. The Kenway woman from the document says that Netherim's VTuber model had been in the works for a long time when she joined the community in 2022, and he would often excuse himself due to perfectionism, conveniently. I promise you guys that I am going somewhere with this, so just stick with it. It took several years for this VTuber model to be realized in the end. Furthermore, while there were some deliveries that were made in the end, it took quite some time for it to be ever delivered. delivered. On the other hand though, there were some deliveries that were never made in the end. This led to some Netherim community members to just outright believe that they just got basically scammed. By donating hundreds or even in some cases thousands of dollars, things like playing a horror game with a heartbeat monitor or some of the merch never was delivered, albeit Netherim kept using it as a goal to reach for his community. Kenway also told me about some Patreon rewards that weren't delivered on time, delivered rarely or never at all. She was a high Patreon member for less than a year, but in the end she only got 3 voice lines in the span of that whole time. And if you go to his Patreon, Netherim do say that you will be getting a custom voice line for these high tiers. So you could basically say that Netherim has some issues regarding his financial responsibility, and basically it could also amount to borderline scamming his community. Scam, of course, is a very subjective thing, and if you are paying $200 for a t-shirt that costs $10 to make, I personally think that's a scam. But here's where I'm getting at, okay? There is a theory to why these financial irresponsibilities happen in the first place. And just so you know, there is no really dead straight evidence here, but by using circumstantial evidence, like the no-shows, the no deliveries, being very late on deliveries, and the list goes on basically, and coupled with the fact that the allegation document explained how Netherim went on trips spontaneously, such as to Japan, and Catherine, his ex-fiancée, yes, we will get later to that, told Spearshot how Netherim would spend money on a lavish lifestyle to supposedly flex to Catherine by paying for an expensive hotel.
But I have been in Tunisia as well, and the first time we met, it was in Turkey.
So he's traveling the world?
Yeah, Mr. Worldwide, you know.
Okay, Giga Chad. I mean, not Giga Chad.
I met with him in Turkey first time, and everything was like great. He spent like a lot of money on me, on the hotel. We went to like a 5-star cave hotel in Cappadocia. But when we were there, like he upgraded the room, like he took everything like as expensive as possible. And then like he lied to me about how much he spent, because I told him, please don't spend all that money. It's a waste of money.
Look, it's not hard to put 2 and 2 together. It could be a case for a story that he basically uses the money from his donathons, his sub goals, etc., and spends that money on flying out to girls, flying the girls to him, spending it on the hotel that's very expensive, and spending it on his Japan trip. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. Your money is your own, and you can spend it on whatever you want. No judge on that. But if you have some responsibilities to your community, and when people are spending thousands of dollars and you're not delivering on them in due time or not at all, then there are some questions being raised here. Again, I just want to note that this is pure speculation, but it has some credence to it regarding the circumstantial evidence that we have here. Now let's get to the second part, which I think a lot of people has just missed the point of, and it's actually the main point of the allegations that's very important in terms of how unethically Netherim kind of behaved. The case for all of these allegations and the drama is basically a strong, valuable lesson in power dynamics in relationships. While power dynamics isn't illegal in itself, it is a reason for why things in our society usually are illegal, such as a relationship with a minor. The power dynamics in Netherim's situation is that he knowingly and intentionally uses his status as a streamer, and as well as the woman's parasocial attraction to him for personal gain and satisfaction. I mean, to showcase that this woman basically had some parasocial attraction to him or extreme fan behavior is basically within the document itself. For example, Elle did a girlfriend application which Netherim had out, and she completely reciprocated romantic feelings with him instantly after Netherim said that he needed her. She also started off her story by saying that I started to become active almost daily in his stream around the same time that I started donating. Our messages on Discord would increase to texting every other day or infrequently throughout the following weeks of December. Kenway's story starts with her saying that up to this point I had donated over $1,200, euros, I'm not entirely sure here, on his stream and gotten him a keyboard and controller off his wishlist. We continue to interact and have calls like this explicitly daily. Another person named Rosalina, which was also shortly included in the document, has spent over $7,000 in donations. Bear's story states that a while later I joined the Patreon where I got to know him more. Chai Vixen mentioned how she subbed to Netherim, which was her first sub, by the way, like ever, and eventually she joined the Patreon through a low-tier subscription. And she even goes to mention that I subbed on Valentine's Day in 2023 and realized I had developed a slight crush, but I kept it aside to myself. This was prior to her talking with Netherim, of course. Bear had also joined the Patreon at some point. However, the bottom line of these allegations is that he's basically manipulating women, he's abusing his power dynamics in these relationships, and he's basically probably scamming his community. Those three allegations that I just mentioned are the legitimate criticism against Netherim in this whole allegation conundrum, okay? To demonstrate my point, imagine a big content creator like iShowSpeed, Pokemon, or Mr. Beast who has millions of followers, insanely huge social status, massive amounts of money. And when one of these content creators engages with one of their fans romantically speaking, or I mean in any situation rather with their fan, they have to be aware of power dynamics. They can't knowingly utilize their power or status because of just how inclined the other party is, the fan, to accept whatever the content creator basically wants. I can't really blame Netherim for doing this if you have zero moral compass, since no one is really taught anything about this when you're a content creator, but what he did basically was unethical. That's the bottom line, and in reality, him being a fuckboy, it's not really that bad, I guess. I mean, you can live the life however you want. There's tons of people doing this in Western societies. You know, that in itself is nothing really to cancel him over, as it's just shitty behavior in his personal life. Remember that power dynamics in these relationships, specifically speaking the fan, content creator, celebrity relationships, they rely on power and status and not necessarily on age, because most of the women that Netherim was with were actually several years above his age. So while the relationships might be consensual, the fan is usually acting out of being starstruck or just craving the attention of the person that they're being parasocial or, you know, having like this extreme fan behavior of. So they wouldn't normally do things if it wasn't for the person that they're so obsessed about. This is also what creates an issue as well, as the parasocial person basically believes that the person that they have in front of their screen would like never hurt them, and they have like this insane trust built up over them, but in reality they don't really know the person whatsoever. And take note that the relationships between these women were almost instantly sexual and romantic upon establishing direct contact with Netherim. Okay, anyways, you also have to note that these fan content creator relationships, they don't always have to be dictated by power dynamics. Just that in itself, that power dynamics isn't actually a bad thing. You see, power dynamics actually can exist in almost any human relationships. I mean, you have like a male and a woman, and usually the male is stronger than a woman, and usually males have the power in a sense that they're stronger than a woman. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? But it's just a cause, like power dynamics can be just a cause for concern or like a thing to be investigated. And if there's no issue regarding it, then everything is fine. So it's basically a matter about seeing whether it has an effect on your relationship or not. In Netherim's case though, power dynamics actually were playing a major role in these relationships. What Netherim should have done is to maximize the agency that these women have to decline or say no to his requests, and that you're being extra cautious of your power dynamics when engaging in this consensual behavior. You could also just have an open talk about boundaries and just respect the boundaries that the women have, and also your own boundaries. And then you also make sure that you're not going to cross those boundaries to make the person uncomfortable, because usually the person would cross the boundaries because of how parasocial or the extreme fan behavior that they have towards you. So end of the line, respect the person as they are your equals, and you know, not as if they're some Untermensch or subhuman in good English. So this was a failure on Netherim's part. But that is not all, because these allegations actually seems to have completely failed. Many content creators reacted to this drama and thought that it was a nothing burger, failing to see the overall picture. On top of that, IKeepItTanko also engaged in questionable behavior. After the allegations were brought forward, he continued to add the allegations against Netherim by posting unsubstantiated allegations that he is a PDF file. Fortunately, he did delete this, but the the reason why he posted this in the first place kinda do make sense. You see, Netherim has actually had a history of pathologically lying to women, and usually this was also about his age and other personal information.
It got weird kind of fast, because after 4 days he was like, oh fuck, I have to go back. I have a test to get into university in the UK, okay? So I was like, okay, I will go back with you to Tunisia. And so we went back to Tunisia, and then I saw on the flight ticket, I saw his birth of date, and it said a different year than what he had told me. So different age. And then he was like, yeah, that's just a mistake. And I was like, okay. He said the year on the ticket, it was a mistake. And I was like, okay, fine. Then I went to Tunisia, I met his mom, and I spent the day alone with her. And then I found out from her, you know, that it was, you know, his real age, you know, like, you know.
So why do you think he was lying about his age?
So when I confronted him about this, he said because he is like really private. He was not sure, you know, about me, like if we were gonna be serious. So then he lied about his age, and then he just kept it up. He didn't know how to tell me, is what he said.
That's weird.
Big gap, or was it not that bad? So he was young, because you would have been 23.
Okay. Well, I was 21 when I met him.
What? So this guy must have been 18. Wait a second. He must have been 18, bro.
This is a fucking plot twist right here, dude. What the hell?
Netherim has also had a history of lying about a lot of things, such as his personal information. The women had also gained many other testimonies and screenshots of him lying about his age to get into 18+ Discord servers, for example. You have this in 2019, where he was 16 years old and he managed to get into the Heelslut server. Another person talking about how Netherim texted to him over 3 to 4 different Discord accounts while leading her on in 2020. Another woman talking about how she was a Discord staff within Netherim's community, but then got discarded romantically. That's a nice way to put it. But anyway, she also apparently spent a lot of money into supporting him.
I think in the allegation document, he mentioned that he was 24 years old to booties, and this is what IKeepItTaco based his knowledge on. But it really doesn't matter what he bases it on, because in the first place there was no evidence of him being a PDF file. So he could have said that he's like a 24-year-old being with a 16-year-old, but as far as what IKeepItTaco posted and what information he has, basically, he never provided any evidence. Catherine, who was his fiancée in the past, also was lied about his age. She basically wouldn't find out about his age until he were with a trip to him in Turkey, where all this expensive hotel thing were, and then he booked a flight back to his own country where he was going. I think it was UK, and then she was able to look at his plane ticket, or I think it was Tunisia actually, and then she looked at her plane ticket, his plane ticket, and his age was in the plane ticket, and it just didn't line up with what he said. And then I think the excuse was that it basically they got it wrong, the plane company, and then Catherine was able to corroborate the plane ticket age with the testimony of his mother, basically, because she asked his mother if this is the age, and his mother confirmed it. So that is how Catherine knows his age. The original tweet of Taco reads, if Netherim, the EOS trash ASMR streamer, was a corpse husband wannabe, give you weird vibes or the creeps, then you guys are gonna want to see this. This guy is a disgusting predator. Another update. Apparently he's done this with a girls question mark, who were minors starting at the age of 16 or 15 so far. They'll be updating the document or making a follow-up after talking to the new girls that are coming forward with their experiences. Taco later attached some images to this tweet which showcased the PDF allegations. These images were from an account with DM'd IKeepItTaco, and essentially it was just a she said he said situation. It was a testimony that had absolutely zero evidence of any kind attached to it. Furthermore, this woman who is DMing Taco about the PDF allegations is the woman who made the tweet longer in 2021 about Netherim. Curiously, she didn't accuse him of being a PDF file in that tweet longer when she had the opportunity to do so, but that's just because they were just 1 to 2 years apart. Follow up, he was 18 and she was 16. However, due to the nature of him constantly making new Discord accounts over the years, him lying about his age all the time, and the evidence being fragmented, I will be retracting the previous statement. So let's talk about the tweet longer. And the tweet longer basically showcases you why this woman hates Netherim because of something that happened back in 2021. She actually actually made a tweet longer about Netherim, which was previously the name of Netherim, and the tweet longer was titled The Truth Behind Netherim, and it basically amounted to him leading this woman on, manipulating her, allegedly using her 10,000 RP for a giveaway for his stream, and then later dumping her when he got disinterested. With what Taco posted, she also accuses Catherine of trying to ruin her career, but I actually asked Catherine about this because I just find her to be so credible just due to the nature of how much details, or like how in-depth she goes into details about this, her experience with Netherim. Catherine mentioned how she never spoke to her except for this one time. You see, she only commissioned Catherine for some graphics work, and when this PDF allegationing woman found out that Catherine was dating Netherim, she started to basically hate her and block her, you know, stupid internet stuff. Now, you see, Netherim, publicly speaking, he denies being involved with this woman at all publicly, but this completely dispels that narrative, and you can even just go back to the tweet longer and that in itself dispels it.
What a fucking liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
Now, Catherine also mentioned to me that she only knows vague details about what Netherim mentioned to Catherine about this PDF woman, but the details were so vague, so Catherine really doesn't have anything much to say about this. Netherim eventually responded to these PDF allegations by Taco. At this point, Taco had already retracted his statement as he came under massive scrutiny. Netherim thought that the behavior was weird. Taco wanted to fight for his credibility, so he posted another post clarifying that they aren't completely baseless or fake as Netherim claims. The only reason why he retracted it is because he couldn't fully prove the PDF allegations. And he further alleged that he has a history of deleting messages, remaking Discord accounts, and changing his name and age for the past 5 years. These two screenshots show an account basically saying that they were friends before his stream blew up, and he did the same manipulation thing to her while she was a minor in 2021, that being 16 years old. Now, to Netherim's defense, as far as I'm concerned, Catherine told me that he was basically 17 years old while he was talking to this 16 years old, so there's nothing really wrong with that, and yes, he was turning 18 in that year at the time. The second screenshot is a screenshot of allegedly Netherim being flirty with Anxiety. No proof is linked to the PDF stuff has been shown beyond this point. And I guess Anxiety is this PDF allegating woman. There's also a third screenshot that is irrelevant since the woman is only mentioning that his actual ex-wife, you know, Catherine, tried to ruin her career for speaking up about this incident. Catherine came out with her own statement saying that they met up several times in real life and she broke up with Netherim since he lied in their relationship, which included age and other personal information. But as far as I'm concerned, there is actually no evidence or anything substantial that shows that Netherim is actually a PDF file. Netherim responded, denying it by saying, "I have no history of interacting with this person." Resorting to making screenshots and forcing a debunked narrative from years ago on me isn't a power play either, but Pop Off King, Taco then responded but noted that he doesn't plan on changing. Then Netherim was distraught over that Taco added things he has never done and digging into his private life beyond the situation itself under the disguise of justice. A few days later, in between these days I'm guessing, Taco had responded to Netherim's quote retweet. This was subsequently deleted though, but he essentially said that Netherim has been lying about his age for years, which is true. He also explained why he was confused about Netherim's age, which was due to lying. He also reiterated the point of Netherim manipulating women. So Netherim has been lying about his age, which is the origin of the PDF allegations. Taco mentioned that Netherim is 24 years old today. This would put him at 21 back in 2021, and the minor was 16 at the time. But Taco was confused, as we know, since Netherim lied about his age, and his actual age was 17 at the time in 2021. And if you wonder why Taco is even involved in this drama so much, one is because Taco was Netherim's friend for quite some time, and the second part is that the woman actually reached out to Taco for assistance, and as you can see at the bottom of the document, he even overviewed the allegations. Now, Taco also said that there was no point in settling this matter privately, simply because Netherim is a deceitful and dishonest character.
You know the reason why I didn't come with you with anything or gave you a warning or even gave you a chance to change is because I already had suspicions of what you were capable of growing as your friend for years.
Oh,
and you are the type of person, when you get called out for doing shit, you will say, "You're right, I shouldn't be doing this, I learned my lesson." But you go back to doing the same thing, but you just try to hide it better and do it better so you don't get caught again. That's why there's like other communities that said, oh yeah, he did this before as well.
I mean, maybe you could make like a point, the 2021 tweet longer with the PDF allegation woman. I think it's anxiety at this point. I think maybe that could be a thing of accountability. So maybe there's some credence to Taco's position basically regarding this matter of talking to him privately before making a document like this. So Netherim actually refuted this, and Taco had deleted his post shortly after posting it. So another interesting thing about this whole conundrum is that Spearshot originally had one of the women come on his stream to talk about this, which was Catherine, his ex-fiancée. Most of what she has said on that stream has already been mentioned in this video, so there's no really point in showing any of this. Spearshot also went into a call with Nail, and then later together with Hums, Nikic, Sanchovis, Vakin and Solarbaka to both react and discuss the allegations. Ellie came into the stream to talk about the allegations, and when she left, Netherim would come onto the stream and say his piece. And he was mainly confronted by Vakin, while the others were kind of memeing about the situation and they didn't think it was as serious as Vakin and Solarbaka had on this matter. They also asked some questions, but they weren't as hard-hitting as Vakin was.
The main issue regarding this whole voice call, and as much as I love these streamers, is that most of them just had a brain-dead take on this whole situation. Spearshot and Nail in particular was downplaying most of the actions that Netherim did to hurt these women. Mostly they were calling what he did was alpha male behavior and he was simply a fuckboy. Probably they weren't doing it intentionally, but it still undermined the allegations and gave more credence and validity to Netherim. So essentially they were giving Netherim an AOK signal. Vakin had the most base take of them all here and called all of these streamers out on their irresponsible behavior. Now, Spearshot in particular played devil's advocate here, saying that them as streamers don't have a position to tell Netherim how to behave in the sense that they are their dad. But this take is just retarded in itself. First of all, when we're talking about adults who are holding us accountable for our actions, then sure, it might be our parents, but at this point it's also our friends, society, and especially our peers. Those peers to Netherim are the same content creators downplaying the allegations by saying what he did was alpha male behavior and asking him for risk coaching. The weird thing is that both Spearshot and Nail thought that the behavior was morally reprehensible, which is a standard they have set themselves, but they don't seem to enforce that standard, which is paradoxical to say the least. But it's like saying abusing women is bad, but when some guys does it and gets laid a lot, he's just now a giga chat for some reason. This whole sentiment was also replicated elsewhere, both in Hamza's chat during this whole quote-unquote confrontation where chatters were encouraging trash behavior like saying WRIS and basically applauding that we're manipulating women. And such sentiment was also seen on social media such as Twitter or other YouTube comments. I feel like Vakin especially had a great summary of this all, so here's the highlights of this Netherim confrontation and the aftermath of it.
The biggest problem with it is basically that you were well known, or you were like slightly known before from people on like the in-group or like in your community that have been around for a long time, and then are now publicly known for using your platform to do these things that you've done, right? Like I think that's the big issue, is that you don't get to have a sense of privacy or like feel that you've been like wronged when you've wronged so many other people, to not have people know what you did and what you use your platform for. I think that's the biggest thing as like a takeaway from this. Talk like the stuff you said with like, if it's just allegations, like it's not protective of the conversation. So
right. Well,
yeah, that's basically
a wrap up for me.
Sure.
I don't really want to be here anymore. This was great nonetheless. I really want to thank you guys for even giving me the opportunity to speak in a way that I was able to explain a few things, address, confirm, and also deny a few things. Thank you for that. Thank you, Nail. Thank you, Spearshot.
Ignore the pedophile part, okay?
It's still fucked up. He's a complete asshole. I don't condone any of that.
No. Hey, you're not understanding. It's not just like being a fuckboy. It's being someone with a position of power. You are a big streamer. You play up as being a genuine war meme character, and people believe that, and they get comfortable. And
exactly.
he uses that.
He uses. No, you're right. He uses his public platform and his fame, right? Like internet fame, right? To take advantage of women, and doesn't want people in his community to know, right? That's the problem here, is that he didn't want it to be public because he didn't want people to know.
Now people know, and everybody knows how fucked up he is. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but
that's not like my problem is with like you and like Spearshot, like kind of downplaying it, be like, oh, he's just a fuckboy, whatever. It's like, no, what he's doing is
I'm saying it how it is.
Look,
like
whether it was intentional or not, you're still downplaying his actions, right? Like potentially cheating on his like fiance with these people, like just incredibly fucked up behavior, and like not calling it out as such is just kind of gross.
What do you want us to do now? You want us to get Netherim in the call and then start confronting him and say, no, you're an asshole. You shouldn't have done this. You should have done that. We're not in a place of. We're not in a position of power.
It's not power in the sense you can like send him to jail. It's power in the sense that you make people like you let him explain his side, which you did, and honestly, like he just kind of said a bunch of nothing from what I heard like at the start before I joined.
No, the thing is, he probably left because, with all due respect, Nathan, you came in here and you're just confronting him on stuff as if you're his parent. You're not an interrogator. You don't have him here under arrest. Like he's not going to listen to it, which is probably why he left.
Vacan sees through him, bro.
Like I don't know. He was saying things like he doesn't think it was okay for like his public life to get fucking legal orders. It's like, bro, you take the actions that he did.
Yeah, that is dumb.
And the impact it had on those people.
I understand what he's saying. He's saying he wants to keep his private life private, like, whether it's relationships he's having.
It ends up just being a PR fest, bro. Like he wants to downplay it as much as possible, so it doesn't look that bad, right? Which is why he comes on the call, and which is why like you guys are just kind of joking and laughing about it, making it seem like a less serious situation than it is, right? He didn't commit any crimes. He didn't do anything illegal. But it's not just whether or not it's against the law. If it's morally reprehensible, you set the standard as someone who talks on the topic publicly. So just apologize for what you did. Admit what it was like we did was a shitty thing. You got caught for doing a shitty thing, and apologize to the people you did it to. That's it. It's not hard. And then don't do it again. Like you're trying to make it seem like it was a neutral stance conversation you were being invited to, and then as soon as you got pressed on things and you were acknowledged for your shitty behavior, you didn't have people like fucking jerking you off and being like, oh yeah, like Giga Chad, how much for the coaching? Like as soon as you didn't have that happening, you got real fucking uncomfortable. At the very least, fucking apologize, bro. Like it doesn't matter if I'm his parent or not. I'm a human being, and I see one human being treat other human beings like shit. That's not good, man. Hard concept. I'm especially disgusted when I see someone like play a victim when like they're not the victim in a situation. That's like one-on-one manipulative behavior. The thing is, the only reason I was like so disgusted is because like these people are streaming like collectively to like thousands and thousands of people, right? And the way that they're discussing about it, it downplays it, it normalizes it, it like fucking is disgusting to the victims, and I saw, bro, I'm watching like Humza's chat, and like Humza's chat, bro, like streamer like chat, and those people are impressionable, and to see them just being like, yeah, fucking W Giga Chad, manipulate these fucking women, fucking W mans, right? W manipulator. It's like, bro, like even if you're joking in like a slight sense, right? It is at least accept that it's like not like a good thing to joke about. So it's not chat, well, like I'm saying like collectively, like it's irresponsible when you have a public voice and a platform to handle a situation in the way I saw it being handled. That's it.
Aikibitako also joined the voice call and confronted Netherim. Now the conclusion from this whole Discord call is that basically most of these content creators don't think it's a serious issue. I think it would be fair to say that Sanchovis, Nikish and Humza's position is that it isn't a big deal. Sorbak and Vankin think what he did is morally reprehensible, although not illegal. Nail seems to be indifferent, but also thinks it's an overall negative thing that Netherim has done. Spearshot thinks that the fault lies also with the women, since most of them were actually relatively older than Netherim, but otherwise Netherim was just being a sexual deviant, which was also a morally reprehensible thing according to Spearshot. It's also important to note that Spearshot, while he has a better opinion than some others, he also has a little misinformation, I would say. At least that's what I think. And that's mainly because age doesn't really matter when it comes to power dynamics. I mean, the easiest example here is that you have an 18-year-old K-pop star, and probably there is a 30-year-old woman there who would just absolutely thirst all over him. And he could just as well abuse his power dynamics. And I mean, experts as well in psychology also seem to agree that age is kind of irrelevant when it comes to power dynamics, or can be irrelevant. So it isn't fair to criticize the women for being older. And it's also important to note that Netherim did abuse his status and power for his own gain while scamming his community, or I mean at least borderline scamming his community. The day after, May 27th, Netherim actually went onto his stream and had a response to this all. And what's funny is that he only responded on stream, and he didn't really respond to the main document allegations elsewhere. He did respond quite in depth about the PDF allegations on Twitter, but you can barely see any points being made to the document. I mean, that was like the main thing. I guess he just doubled down and used the train, or like he could like downplay the main documents by talking about the PDF allegations instead, and how unsubstantiated they are because it's more in his ballpark to control. So he just talked about it for 17 minutes, more or less, and he didn't say much other than that the document is greatly exaggerated, and he notes that his private life has been talked a lot about. And he also says that he did deliver on his promises to his community, and while he talked all about that, he just really focuses on the PDF allegations rather than the main points of the allegations. The ensuing days, Netherim had started to use the traction gained from the document to his benefit by memeing and adopting the memes caused by the allegations into his persona. He created a new Patreon tier for over $600 that yields you knowledge on how to rizz up women and also beat the allegations and basically become the ultimate alpha male. And there are other multiple tweets making fun of the situation, which basically downplays the serious accusations. And most people at this point just thought that Netherim had W-Riz and essentially he was getting cancelled for what women do on the daily. And also Anki Pitanko's false PDF allegations heavily gave more credence to Netherim and further downplayed and muddied the water in regards to the original allegations. But you see, this is exactly why the allegations are retarded. Not that the allegations are retarded in themselves, but the whole situation regarding it. The people who wrote the document, or I just think it was Elf that made the document, had never written a document before. That's why it's kind of all over the place. And sure, there was some criticism you could make towards the document, but all of this is somewhat irrelevant because it downplays the actual valid criticisms that you have towards Netherim. You have the financial irresponsibility, which is outlined more in detail in this video than the document, mainly because when writing the document, they didn't have as much information as they do nowadays. You got the abuse of power dynamics, which I personally find the most reprehensible act here. And lastly, the least morally reprehensible thing, at least that's what I think, which is his path of deceitfully lying and leading multiple women on. And from my point of view, it's just kind of some shitty behavior that you have in your personal life that you shouldn't really be cancelled over. Now, you could make an argument for this if you're using your world streaming career and all this, and you're using the status and the power you get from it to rizz up women basically and manipulate them and cheat on them. So I mean, there could be an argument made there. And when I talk about could make an argument there, I mean the argument in terms of canceling him fully or the fact that he shouldn't be platformed. But I think personally, when it comes to deplatforming a creator, I think they should be doing a serious crime. As you can see, I have a little bit of American in me, so I do like some free speech. Okay, I don't want to LARP as an American in this video, but you get my stance. So the only question remains, will Netherim take accountability or not? The goal of allegations like this is usually to expose behavior that someone should take accountability for, or when exposing criminal behaviors when there are no other routes or options available to you. I find it a bit off-putting with all the memes Netherim has done with the allegations, which makes me not so hopeful that he will take accountability. He also said on the Spearshot stream that he would have a talk with himself in regards to the ethical and moral concern of his actions, but we aren't really privy to his internal thoughts because, you know, he doesn't simply talk about it, he just sits there and thinks for himself. So how are we gonna know if he's gonna take accountability if that's the outcome here? And I mean, if you are a public figure, you should let your audience know or your community know at least, or people you've heard, that you're gonna do better simply, or at least apologize to them. As far as I'm concerned, Netherim hasn't stated in private to me or public that he was going to do that. I think the probability of him doing that in the first place is quite low, since he just hates how these people have made it so incredibly personal and dragged his personal life out in the public, and he has been egged on instantly when the Twitlonger came out.
Yo, Future Husband here. Netherim did make a closure statement regarding the actual allegations, which took over 2 weeks to even make, and for some reason he ended up deleting this a few hours after. Not entirely sure why, but some people asked him how long he was going to milk the drama, and perhaps he thought it wasn't needed. But in regards to his statement, he said that he basically attacks the women's credibility, saying that they're trying to deplatform him and write fanfiction. He also mentions that in terms of accountability, he thinks that my lack of clarity regarding my interactions with those specific individuals wasn't ideal at all, which is to put it very mildly. And when it comes to scamming his community, he says that they had access to all the sneak peeks regarding content and accused them for just adding more fuel to the fire. But this is just completely false, as there has been things he never delivered on while his community spent thousands of dollars to achieve certain goals. And even that some of these deliveries were made in the end, it took in some cases several years to deliver on it. And then coupled with the circumstantial evidence of him making spontaneous purchases and spontaneous trips to Japan and using the money on a lavish lifestyle to impress some of these women, it does make a case for him basically scamming his community. Regarding the power dynamics, Netherim claims that the women had every right and comfort to make their decisions when things moved beyond the viewer-creator relationship. However, this statement overlooks several crucial issues, and also it demonstrates a lack of understanding of his inherent influence and power as an influencer. influencer. So firstly, Netherim interacted with multiple women simultaneously, leading each to believe he was interested in a serious relationship. For example, he met up with Kenway in real life while also basically e-sexing Chai-Vixen. He told them multiple times that he needs them and he wants to marry them, and he also says that they're wife material. And this isn't a direct admission of pursuing exclusivity with a person, but it heavily implies so. So this pattern indicates a deliberate manipulation of emotion and trust. Secondly, the women involved were often starstruck and admired Netherim, which significantly enhanced his emotional influence over them. This admiration and trust placed them in a vulnerable position, making it difficult for them to even act independently and without bias. The document highlights how Netherim could deflect confrontation and dictate the women's feelings, which further illustrated the imbalance of power. Another crucial part about the document is that Kenway and Netherim had taken some time to put space between them, and eventually Netherim did reach out to Kenway again, where he said that he basically sees the relationship as casual. Kenway responds saying that she wants Netherim in a more intimate way and that she can't just do sexual casual without an emotional connection. This was in October of 2023, and fast forward to both November 2023 and in 2024, Netherim engages in casual e-sexing with this woman. This is a clear violation of a boundary that she has basically set forth, but still, Kenway acts out of her boundary. I mean, this to me is a clear example of abuse of power dynamics at play. This same shit happened to Elle, where both of them agreed to just being close friends, but Netherim continued to talk to her sexually, saying that he would kiss her and make her pheromones go wild. Elle, of course, reinforced her boundary in this scenario, saying that you can't say that and that she's trying to respect the decision we made. While Netherim insists that his actions were both legal and consensual, this assertion misses the point entirely. Power dynamics are not just about the legality or surface level consent, they are about ethical considerations and the potential for him basically exploiting them in the content creator follower relationship. The imbalances of power that Netherim has compromises the ability of the women to provide basically fully autonomous consent, as their decisions are likely influenced by Netherim's status and emotional manipulation. So Netherim's failure to acknowledge the ethical concerns stemming from power dynamics shows basically a fundamental misunderstanding of the situation. True consent requires more than just legality. It requires an awareness and also a mitigation of his inherent power imbalance. And this was obviously lacking in these interactions he had with these women. Now, Netherim goes on to also speak about how much he has grown and how the community is more chill than ever, but that's probably because those who saw fault in what he did had left the community, so essentially now it's a haven with yes men.
So the bottom line is that we actually have no fucking clue what's gonna happen here and whether he's gonna take accountability or not. And we might even not know whether he thinks the allegations have some credence to it, in the sense that he will take accountability and change his behavior going forward. Now, as you know, by this point, it's a behavior that has spanned for several years, at least back to 2021, some say 2020. And I mean, fuck it, man. It's all remains to be seen. But that's all I have for you today. So make sure you smash that